RunDNA has an extensive range of running and walking footwear. They're trusted by podiatrists and physiotherapists. The RunDNA fitter's advice is second to none. Pop into RunDNA, 20 Manton Street, Hindmarsh, or 391 Fullarton Road, Fullarton. They're open 7 days, plenty of off-street parking. If you walk or run, you need to run DNA.
Welcome to Hooked on Sport. This is South Australia's weekly sports wrap, where we uncover the stories, personalities and moments that define sport across South Australia. It's time for Hooked on Sport with two-time Bradman medalist Ben Hook and state golf representative Sophie Hilditch.
Thanks, Wallace. G'day, So.
Hey, Hookie, how are you going? How's your week been so far?
Great week. Thank you for asking. Excited for the big game, Adelaide versus Hawthorn on Friday. I've just rushed back. It's very late on a Tuesday night. Thank you for waiting for me, for both of you. But I've just come back from presenting Golden Grove Football Club's Jake Pittman the Keith Sims medal. How's this? It's his third medal in 4 years, and the year that he didn't win it, he was runner-up. So he won the Div 3 medal in 2022. They were promoted, Golden Grove, into Division 2. He won the Division 2 medal in 2023. They got promoted again. He was runner-up last year and has won it this year. So that's an incredible record, isn't it? There's something about the super midfielder that we've seen at AFL level. It started with Chris Judd. It's become Nick Dacos and Patrick Cripps. We've seen it with Tom Lewis in the SNFL, and we have the super midfielder now in the Adelaide Footy League, the Ammos as well. And Jake Pittman is certainly that inside, tough, nuggety midfielder who I think there was 6 games in a row where he got first preference votes. 6 in a row, 18 votes in 6 games. Staggering stuff. So, yeah, congratulations to Jake. So that's where I was, but so glad to be with you both.
Just an incredible achievement. Talking about going and emceeing events, though, Ben, I had an interesting story come up last week about this energy industry night. Can you believe it?
Well, did you say energy?
Yeah.
I think I know where this might be going.
Where the MC was late. Don't happen to know anything about that, do you?
Oh, I cannot believe I've been outed here. Yeah. All right. Let's come clean.
I'm ready
is
for
tough
it.
to admit to. I, for the last 5 or 6 years, have been the Master of Ceremonies for the Australian Institute of Energy SA Branch Awards. They present 3 awards. They'll induct someone into their Hall of Fame. There's a best project and there's a best young energy professional. And that has always been on a Wednesday night in around about August. And, of course, this year they decided to put it on a Tuesday night. And I did not quite get the memo. They did send me the memo, but I didn't quite account for that. So at 6:30 on Tuesday night, I get a phone call from the event organizer saying, just wondering where you are because all of the people are here for pre-dinner drinks and we're about 15, 20 minutes away from starting. Well, where was I? I was at the show with my wife and daughter. We were playing, the ping pong game. Put the ping pong balls in the clown's mouth. It cost us $20. There's a story there as well. At that particular point in time, I get the phone call saying, just wondering how far away you are. So I've got to take the call and say, there has been a minor disaster. I will do as well as I possibly can, but I don't think we're starting at 7. So ran to the car, left my wife and child at the show without a car. That was going to be an issue that I was going to have to deal with later in the evening. Raced to the car, got home, shaved, showered, in my suit, shirt, tie, and at the wine centre for the function at 7:14. So got the function done. Was a little rattled. Just thought I may as well concede and tell everyone how this has all played out. Of course, Institute of Energy, I did make the point that don't worry about the rising price of energy bills because the rising price of putting 5 ping pong balls in a clown's mouth is far more significant, in my opinion. But yes, Soph, your spies are pretty much 100% correct. I did run late for a function. We got there in the end. I think we did finish on time, but I was awfully rattled when I took that phone call that I was in jeans and tracksuit jacket and supposed to be in suit and tie at the wine centre.
Well, there you go, Wallace. He's not just late for us, but he's also late for massive events. So I feel a bit better about that, actually.
People don't want to hear any more about my stupid stories, but they do want to hear your opinion, Soph, on the Adelaide Crows and Hawthorn on Friday. You were very confident going into the game against Collingwood. I was a little less so. Not going to say that I'm right and you're wrong, but are you tempered in your confidence in the Crows this weekend?
No, look, yes, Hookie, I was extremely confident going into that game. And you know what? I'm actually remaining confident. It's obvious Hawthorn are going to ride a bit of that momentum, right? Crows have a bit of pressure. It's actually been 42 years since a team who finished top of the ladder then get knocked out with back-to-back defeats. But you know what? Our boys are going to make that 43 years, Hookie.
It's first versus eighth, Soph, and you would think, well, in a semi-final 1v8, that should be a pretty comfortable result. I love your stat. I didn't know that. 42 years and the top team hasn't been knocked out in straight sets. Here's my stat that probably counters that. Since this Final Eight system has come into play, there's been sort of two streams. Before the 2016 changeover, where we went to a pre-finals bye, and then after. In the years beforehand, it really happened very rarely. There were 32 teams that played in qualifying finals, and only 3 of them went out in straight sets. It happened 9% of the time. So we used to always worry about, the team that's lost as a qualifying finalist, the elimination finalist has all the momentum, and it never happened. But that's completely changed since the pre-finals bye. It happens 44% of the time. So right now, I think the Adelaide Crows, 50-50 chance. That's what it says statistically, and that's how I feel like they are going into this game, which is a bit disappointing considering it is 1 versus 8. So yeah, I don't have the confidence that I would like to have. I do think what they need to do, Soph, is play with a little bit more flair and freedom. They were very stiff against Collingwood. I would even say they were, meek is probably an unreasonable word, but they seemed a bit passive to me. And they're going to have to bring a completely different brand if they're going to be successful on Friday night.
No, 100% agree. They actually looked a little bit, they looked so nervous. It looked like they just hadn't had finals experience before. But they have now had finals experience. They've had their first go at it. And, Hookie, I'm keeping the faith.
What did you make of the booing last week?
Look, it's a hard one. I don't reckon it's really in the spirit of the game, if I'm being honest. I mean, I'm not always a big fan for the booing when it comes to being a fan. What were your thoughts?
I think it was a really poor moment for the Adelaide Football Club and its fans, but I do feel like this membership, this fan base, will learn its lesson pretty quickly. Yeah, that was a miss. It was a big miss. I think back to the Adam Goodes booing saga, and there were supporter bases that were told not to boo, and that was almost like an incentive to boo even harder. I'm confident in the Adelaide fan base and us as a town and the way we see ourselves that that'll get righted this week. It was bad. It was embarrassing. We should be disappointed. And I think the league and the club should be disappointed that they had to have seen that something like this was brewing. The Adelaide Oval put more security on. Everything about the way this game built up was that it was going to be spicy, it was going to be tense, there was going to be some genuine spite to it. And someone had to get in front of that and say, yeah, look, we understand that there's some rivalry going on here, but we cannot be disrespectful. And we missed the boat as a league and a club and a fan base. And I do think the fan base in particular will get that right this time around.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Want to get into some local sports news?
Yep, let's do it.
I thought it's just worth touching on. We've touched on the Adelaide Footy League medal, which is Jake Pittman. Congratulations to him. The Rugby Union South Australia medals were last weekend. Rugby Union doesn't get a lot of media here in South Australia, but it's a really good, strong, robust competition. And we've touched on Old Collegians who've been very strong as the leading team in the men's premier competition. But I just want to congratulate the Edna Riley medalist, who was the best and fairest female player in the Division 1 women's competition. That was won by Victoria Cousins of Woodville. Interestingly enough, she now has 3 other teammates who are Edna Riley medalists who all play for Woodville. So Abby Chitty's won it twice. Zahn Anthony won it in 2020, and Anna Ikahihifo won it in 2023. So that's not a bad record for Woodville. And then the men's award was won by Pianu Eliepa of the Burnside Rugby Club, and he's been a star of this competition for a couple of years now. So just wanted to congratulate both of them, our Edna Riley and Don Smith medalists for season 2025 in local rugby. Hey, just one other story I'll share with you about Tracy Filippa, who played her 400th game of club lacrosse for the Woodville Lacrosse Club. So Woodville have done really well this year. They're in the Division 1 and the State League Grand Final. That's on Saturday afternoon. Tracy's played 400 games last weekend, and they are the ultimate lacrosse family. So she's the daughter of Sue Hogan, who is just an all-time legend of South Australian lacrosse. Her husband, Ant, still plays. Their son, Liam, is the goalkeeper for the men's State League team. They've got a daughter, Caitlin, who's coming through the junior grades now. And Tracy's nephews, Sean and Daniel, who are both part of the men's State League team, and her brother-in-law, so brother of her husband, Ant, Richard, who's the twin brother, actually, he also plays in Division 1 as well. So they've all got incredible records in lacrosse, but Tracy Filippa, 400 games last week. It's a massive achievement, in particular when you're a mum and you're probably going to run around and play with your daughter at some point as well. I reckon I just love little stories like that, Soph.
Yeah, incredible story. Well, can I take you to some of the sports that I've come up with in SA this week?
Please.
Yeah, so I'm looking over at the cycling at the sassy athlete Emily Petricola. She's just won gold in the C3 time trial at the UCI Paracycling Road World Championship, which just held in Belgium. This comes just 1 year after a triumph in 2024 Paris Olympics, and I think she's just an inspiration and a competitor, a massive achievement for Emily.
Good story, Soph. Well done. Can I share with you a couple of 350 gamers from country footy? I don't think there's a week that goes by when I don't start talking about country footy. Just want to recognise Chris Williams, who played his 350th game for South Gambia in the Limestone Coast League. 254 A-grade games. He's now playing and coaching in the Bees. They've got a grand final in a fortnight. And Scott Collison played his 350th game for Central Whyalla last weekend. That's in the Whyalla League. He's still playing A-grade as the club president, which is pretty incredible. They're into the grand final next weekend. He's been the competition's leading goal kicker 5 times. The most recent was 2023. The first of them was 2004. So have a think about that. The leading goal kicker, not just for his club, but at the competition in 2004, then 5, 6, 19, and 2023. So congratulations to both of them, 350 games, what icons of their footy clubs.
Huge achievement. Well, I want to take you over to the athletics now, Ben. At Tara Palm, selected in the Australian athletics team to compete in Tokyo, she'll be running the marathon. This is her first selection for a World Cup. She comes from a background of middle distance and cross country, though, Ben. Now at the age of 40, she's hitting the elite marathon ranks. Just a very cool story.
It is. I follow the distance running pretty closely. I think Izzy Bat-Doyle was originally penciled in for that spot, but she's chosen the 10K, which is kind of like her pet event. She'll progress to the marathon as her main distance, I think, Izzy Bat-Doyle. But she's going to run the 10K. She wants to run in that Olympic stadium, which, of course, she's done before at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. So Bat-Doyle's choice to go there, I think, opened the door for Palm, making your debut for Australia at that level. She has represented Australia before in cross-country and some other meets, but to go to a World Championships representing Australia for the first time, age 40, Wallace, there's hope for you and me, mate.
Indeed, Hookie.
I was just about to say that as a fellow marathon runner, do you really feel, there is hope when she's age 40 making her first debut for Australia?
Well, just imagine what she's going to be like when she's 52. She might sneak inside 4 hours 40. Amazing news from up in the Hills Footy League last week, guys. Hahndorf Footy Club sacked their coach, Matt Golding. They didn't renew his contract, so he's finished up at the club. He did 8 years, 7 grand finals and 5 flags. Has gone 128-15 in his career, and he's been moved on. What do you got to do? That's tough, isn't it? Matt Golding, big name, 96 games for Glenelg, 7 games for the Crows. I've had a bit to do with him. Lovely fella, stunning. I think he's going to have a few other calls to coach at rival clubs, I would have thought. 128-15, 5 flags, out.
And a huge week for South Australian lacrosse, Ben. We have some massive South Australian selections in the Australian lacrosse team heading over to Canada from 10th of October to the 12th. For the women, we have Holly Dinny, Olivia Parker, Jordan Watts from Woodville. And from Glenelg, we have Jess Morrison. And for the men, we have Jack Price from Brighton. Just a massive achievement for South Australian lacrosse.
4 women in the team. That's quite incredible. 3 of them from Woodville. So we're potentially starting to see the power base just shift a little bit in women's lacrosse. Brighton have won the last 7 flags. They're in the grand final again this week, but it is against Woodville, who were in the grand final last year. So that is just a little side story to all of that. But that Australian Sixers team, we're a couple of years away, but it's kind of like the people that are going to potentially be looking at to go to the LA Games in 2028. So just keep an eye out for those 5 names: Holly Dinny, Jess Morrison, Olivia Parker, Geordie Watts, Jack Price. Geordie Watts' dad is the commentator for lacrosse, hands down the number one. If you listen to Tony Watts, he's a scream. Not only is he really accurate, he's a smart caller, but he can add some humour to it as well. So imagine Jordan Watts, who's a goalkeeper. Imagine she's in goals and Dad's calling the games at the Olympics. Do not rule that out. Hey, just one more very quickly that I came across today. The Chad Sayers rule has been brought into Adelaide turf cricket. What's the Chad Sayers rule? Excellent question. They have had a rule that says you are allowed to play 1 week in the Adelaide turf competition and not the next week, or vice versa. But you can only do that from B1 down. And so Chad Sayers, former Test cricketer, couldn't play 1 week but could play the second week. So fronted up and played the second week, but I could only do it in B1, made 200. And so someone's come to the realisation, maybe it's time, even if you can't play 1 week but can play the other, that will let you play in A1s. So that rule has been changed solely on the strength of the fact that Chad Sayers scored 200 in a B grade game. Not out, I think, as well. So well done to the Adelaide turf. Shut the gate after the horses bolted, but probably a good rule to stop Chad Sayers belting around B and C grade blokes. Happened to concede that I might have done the same thing a few years back for Prince Alfred when I could only play 1 week. But that's another story. We don't need to talk about me. Wallace, there's so much news there. We could talk about this forever, but why don't you start to think about what's next for Hooked on Sport?